People are coming. It's time, Scott.
Welcome, welcome.
It is time. Oh, man. I am so excited for this one. This is awesome. It's going to be a
Wednesday.
good one. Yes. Look, someone already said so excited.
Cool. Well, welcome, Bridget. We're excited that you're here.
I know. This is going to be so fun. So before this, we had a really high registration coming in, and we weren't sure. We were like, AI, we love it. ChatGPT, so exciting, but we're not sure. But everyone's loving it. So I'm so excited that we can have this today. And it is Wednesday, but it feels like Friday to me. I don't know why. This week just feels like, maybe it's because we're coming up on the US holiday. So it just feels like
it's kind of like your Friday. So Stephanie's gonna have some fun. She's going on a little mini trip, enjoying all of the finest college athletics that Nebraska can offer.
Let's hope it's good. And Minneapolis. So any of you Minneapolis folks, I'm coming for you. And there's also the state fair going on, which I'm actually really excited for. We'll see. The exotic stuff that we do, everybody, right? But where's everyone coming in from?
Yeah, post where you're tuning in from.
Australia. Yes.
Good morning, Stephen. Yvette from Maine.
Croatia.
Yvette, it's hard to believe, but a few nights ago, I had one of the best lobster rolls I've ever had in Omaha, Nebraska. And so I always think of Maine or Boston when I think of lobster rolls.
Oh, that's interesting.
Totally random, total tangent. I'm going to shut up on that. Amy, good afternoon from Manchester, England. Good to have you here.
There's a Nebraska GBR. I love England. Oh, I have a lot of England tourist crops that I tend to bring out, but I don't have them nearby, but I will otherwise. I love it. Yeah. So Japan, holy moly. We are covering all time zones.
Yep. Gibraltar, the UK, Isla Mujeres. Many.
Cairo. Oh my God. Okay. This is so cool. Literally there's Egypt, Paris, there's Japan, Australia.
Perth. Yeah. Perth, Australia, Florence, Italy. Susanna, we're jealous.
So jealous.
Welcome.
Oh, that's so awesome. Well, man, just have to say thank you so much again for this. I know someone already asked about it being recorded. It totally is. But before I go further and do that, really quick, I always forget this one part, but who are we? So first of all, if this is your first time joining us for this Travify Academy webinar, I am Stephanie Grice, and education here at Travify. And I'm really, this is feels like a selfish webinar that I was really excited to do, but I'm glad it's translating well. So I hope you enjoy this. And also we have my good pal, Scott, here joining us.
Hi, I'm Scott. So part of the founding team here at Travify. If you haven't seen us on a webinar, or if you haven't connected with me in a demo, I help lead our sales and marketing teams and been here since the very beginning. So it's always just fun and really exciting and humbling to be able to jump on these webinars and just see how the Travify community has grown. And we're just excited to be a part of some really great educational content to give you ideas that can help grow your business.
Yeah, it's just going to be really, really awesome. And I will get into Academy stuff, but again, this has been recorded. This is going to be one of those ones I think people are going to want to come back for. So I also have slides. The slides that you're going to see today will be available for you. So just keep that in mind. I'll mention that a couple times because as I get going, you'll be like, oh, wow, I really want that to remember. So they will be available for you. But also, as Scott mentioned, Travify Academy. So this is a Travify Academy webinar. And maybe you've joined us for Travify webinars where we focus on the tools, the powerful tools Travify has to offer, itinerary building, all that stuff. But Academy is a little different where we focus more just on the industry side. You know, how can we help you grow your business? And that's the whole goal. So that's why today you're not going to see Travify. I actually will throw it in like 2 times, maybe 2 or 3 times, just because it fit really well and it makes sense. But usually with Travify Academy, we focus on just different topics within the industry. So that's what you're going to see here today. You know, things like this, tools that you can take and help build your business. I will do a little plug here too in October, which is coming really quick. Like literally in a couple days, I'll say next month, which is crazy. Here it is. Are you ready? Sales workshop. What is this? The 3rd or 4th year?
This is fourth year, I think,
fourth.
if
It
not
might be
more.
the
So
fourth. Yeah. This, I think, is the fourth year doing this. So, Sales Workshop is like Travify Academy on steroids. It's literally like a week of these types of webinars. Oh, it's going to be so awesome. So, we will send you emails about it. We will let
yeah.
you know when it's coming.
But huge plug to that. I always
Mhm.
get excited about the speakers that Stephanie wrangles in for Sales Workshop. Some really great subject matter experts and people that are on the front lines that can give you a lot of expertise, a lot of tips, a lot of wisdom that can help refine your day-to-day practices with your business from a sales and marketing focus.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool. So, and that's a good point to make too, that it's going to be real amazing experts in the industry. So it won't just be like Scott and I doing presentations like this,
Just
even though
chatting
we
it
love
up.
it. Yeah, just chatting, just hanging out. But you'll actually have like really amazing people coming in, and it's just gonna be really cool. Maybe we'll probably still do it. We love this, gotta do a
Got to
presentation
get the
here and
band
there.
together.
Exactly. So it'll be so cool. But okay, for this webinar, are we ready? Here's the agenda for today. This is what we're thinking. So first of all, I want to talk about what the heck is artificial intelligence, or as we'd like to just say AI, and ChatGPT, because we're going to focus on that. So we're going to talk about like, what is that? And then we're going to bring it in and say, how do you use it? So I just want to do some tips, some quick high level stuff. So if you already are using it, we won't spend, forever on things you already know. But if you don't know it, you're going to understand it. You'll understand how you use it. And then we're going to talk about 10 different ways that you can actually start using it. So I have like real life examples, and we'll jump in there and do things together as well. So it's going to be so awesome. Again, I'm really excited for this topic because I think it's been a very, very hot topic, especially in just the past year. Things have been popping up like insane. And there's a lot of people who are really, really excited, and a lot of people who are also terrified. Like, what the heck is this? Is this going to come for me? Is this taking jobs? And so that's where you're going to see. You're going to see that today, and see how it actually can really help. And it's free. I mean, there are versions that you could pay for, but pretty much everything we're doing today here is free. So that's really cool. It's going to be really exciting.
No, absolutely. And, a shout out to a lot of the travel advisors that are joining the webinar today, because this, and Stephanie's going to get into this more, the whole topic around artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, software, or really highly tech-enabled companies can give a few different reactions to travel advisors. That it may, tools like artificial intelligence and ChatGPT may be really exciting for you, and you immediately think of, wow, these are great tools that I can use. And then for many advisors where you may not fully understand what they are, it's also easy to slip into kind of a mindset of just feeling a little bit overwhelmed, or kind of feeling scarce of, what does this mean? Is this going to replace me? And the one thing that we want to remind you is that there is no replacement for a highly experienced, highly service oriented travel advisor. That is one thing that's the lifeblood of our industry, and that will always win out. And so we want to focus and equip you today with some tips and some tools that can make you even more effective using these new technology tools that are available to us. These tools were not available even 2, 3, 5 years ago. And so now we do have these tools, and they're a pretty hot topic right now. So we're really excited for it. Very excited to have you guys check out what Stephanie has to say and some different ideas with this. But really, if you're not sure how to approach this, kind of approach it with a mindset of, how can this make me more effective? How can this make me have better tools to build my business with? And if nothing else, it just gives you greater awareness to what's going on out there from a technology standpoint in the industry.
It's so important. Yeah, good points there. And I actually want to know. We are curious. We want to do a poll really quick. Okay, I'm going to launch it. How do you currently feel about ChatGPT, which is again using artificial intelligence to help you in different tasks? And maybe you're in this webinar because you're like, I still don't even really know what it is. So I put a question in there that's, not sure. But I'm so curious. Okay, let's see. I'm seeing everything come in. Wow, there's a lot of people who already use it and love it.
That's
That's
great.
cool. Yeah. There is some, yeah, a little terrified. I know it's always like, what is this thing? It's a robot, scary. Yeah, okay, this is awesome. So everyone's kind of all across the board here. So this is really, really perfect. I love that. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and end it. It looks like we are at really a 50, like a good mix right there of already love it and use it, and then haven't used it much or have started to, but you really want to start. So that's awesome. This is great. Well, in that, okay. Oh, I guess I need to click share results. So now you can see. I forgot you can't see. Apologies. There's all the results. So that's interesting. I'm curious now to see at the after this how some of you feel. We'll have to see.
I no, so 75% of you are either already using it or want to start using it. That's awesome. So I have to applaud you all for adopting new technology. That's great.
Yeah, that's really cool. Love this. Okay, this is perfect. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing that. Now, I want to go in to the juice of this. So, let's jump into this. So, the first thing obviously is, what is AI? So artificial intelligence. So that's the funny thing. I always say like AI, and I'm not going to lie. Like a year ago, I didn't really know what that meant. And then when I thought about it, I'm like, oh yeah, artificial intelligence, that makes sense. So what that is just computer science, aiming to create these machines to learn how to perform tasks, respond to questions, because it's really just learning our language, recognizing patterns, problem solving, and making decisions. So you'll see when we use a tool like ChatGPT today, the more you talk to it, the more it starts to understand what you're really looking for, your language, what different things in there. So the other thing that's really interesting that I kind of forget about is a lot of us already use it every day almost, which is Siri and Alexa. So things like Siri and Alexa, that is artificial intelligence. So I think sometimes, it's like, oh my gosh, this is so scary, but it's actually like a lot of us are actually using it already, which is really cool. I mean, we've been doing it for a long time actually, because if you even think about things like, Google is like, we look something up and you have to get, specific sometimes about what you're looking for. Very similar.
The
Similar things
robots
there
have
too.
been watching us for a really long time.
They
Kidding.
have been. The
Kidding.
scary. They have. It's been great, but it's going to be, again, you're going to see this is going to be really awesome. But that's what Scott was mentioning earlier is just over the past year, there's been so many new apps that have been emerging. Anything from creating photos. Like I've seen some where you can upload a headshot of you and then say, I want to wear a red shirt and I want it to be like business professional, and it'll whip out pictures. It's really crazy. It's so interesting. But then there's also ones like ChatGPT, which we will focus on here today. And what ChatGPT is basically just a free program that you can go on to, and you can just ask it questions, and you'll see, because that's all we're using in our examples today. Now it is free to use. There is a paid version, which is $20 a month. To be honest, I've been using the free version this whole time. I did upgrade just this week just so I could see a difference. But I think they're both great. I really can't say. I think it's just, you just want to experiment with what you want to do and do with it. But it's great because, again, you can ask it anything. You'll see tons of examples here today, from conversations that you need to answer. Like if your client asks you a question and you're like, how do I formulate that sentence in a good thought? It's a really good thought provoking way to think about things, and creating content, all that stuff, which you will see in here. But one thing I want to show though is I want to actually show you it in here. So I'm going to come back to this more, but I do just want to show you in case if this is the first time you've ever seen it. So this link, and we'll share this later, is just OpenAI, who's the company who's created ChatGPT, is OpenAI. And you can sign up and then start using this. So I had a really good example here, just so you can see how this works. So I'm going to put in a message. Again, you can ask it anything. And I'm going to say, I'm pitching the destination of Bora Bora. What are some highlights I should share with potential clients who might visit? So maybe this is for social media, or, something that you're thinking about. You want to start promoting a trip. So let me just ask it. Now, here's what's going to happen. it starts talking to me. So it's like you're talking to a person on the other side, and it's giving me all these things. Now, what's really great about this, and you can see it just formulating tons of thoughts here, is what's great is I can take this information and I can go create content from this. I could use this like in a script that I'm going to shoot like a 30-second video, and I'm like, you need to come to Bora Bora. Think of the lagoons, the coral reefs, the bungalows, all of that stuff. I mean, look at how much information it's giving. I mean, it's still going. It's just really incredible. It's so cool. So amazing how that works. So I'll come back and we'll see this again in action, but I just had to show you, and it's still going. I mean, that's insane. It is pretty incredible things. But a couple of notes that I do want to mention on ChatGPT, which is really important, and you might have heard this before, is first of all, again, you're the expert. And so know that not everything is going to be correct or the best information. A good example of this is a lot of times, I've heard where travel advisors will get an itinerary. They'll be like, oh, give me a 5-day itinerary for this. Or if you're worried, here's a good example. If you're worried that travelers might start doing that, well, the problem is it might give it correct results, but it's not going to give it in the right way. So a good example is maybe it's trying to tell you to go to all these places in one day, but you as an expert know like that's going to be crazy. That's not a good way to go. And I know what's close in proximity and how you get to things easier. So that's where it's really important to bring in there. It does need to be that human side. So it helps to know that, again, like not going to be replaced because your expertise still comes into play big time on all of this stuff. And then the other thing too, as you might have heard this before, but in ChatGPT, I think, well, all of them, I'm pretty sure, supports data just up to 2021. So it actually doesn't know more after that, which is also important to know, especially in the travel industry when you might be looking up like, oh, what are the visa requirements for this or COVID requirements? It's different now. So that's important to note as well. And then the other thing, which you will see here as well, is understanding how to ask questions. So you're going to learn this. I think it just takes a little bit of practice. It is a little bit like think of it as you are talking to someone on the other end, like you're live chatting support, on the other end. And you do have to be specific. If you don't get the answer you want, it's okay. You can ask it again and say, okay, that's great, but can you do it with this? Or I'm looking more for this. Like you just have to keep asking it questions sometimes and give it a lot of information. I think that's really important to note in there as well.
Yeah. And seeing some of the questions come in,
Mm-hmm.
Sulin made a great comment of, asking it for ideas on places and destination. It can spit out lots of those, but she gave the example, but many of those places haven't reopened after COVID.
Yeah.
And absolutely true. So you really need to think of AI, ChatGPT, Bard, a lot of these different services as yet another information source, another tool that you can use. As we all know, a client can go out and Google search or Bing search anything. They're coming to you for your expertise, your service, your professionalism, your know-how, all of that. So this is yet another service provider. So don't look at AI as a silver bullet that immediately is going to make you not have to do work. It's a tool that you can use. And so that's a really important point. The only other thing that I would mention in here, to echo Stephanie, is that one thing I noticed with a lot of the AI services, they all have their different personality of how they speak. Sometimes they can be a little wordy, kind of verbose, and also use a lot of buzzwords. And so some of you may want to think about how you reword or take the information and kind of put it into your own voice within there.
That's a big one. It's really funny. I'll out myself here. So I was using that one time I don't know if it was like for webinar titles I was trying to come up with. And Scott's like, I can totally tell you're using ChatGPT because there's so many buzzwords going on. And I'm like, he got me. Yep.
Yes.
So it's true. People will notice it. When you start to know that's a thing, you'll be like, whoa, they use ChatGPT for that, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but you do have to bring in the human element once again, in there. And yeah, and it's like other people are saying, like, I put it in tones. You'll ask it, like, I want it in this tone.
Yep.
Someone also said they always put travel agent, which I think is what I did you'll see the examples. I always put travel agent. Like, I am a travel agent. Here's what I'm going to need because it'll help. One other thing too, that, is a good point. As someone said, it can sometimes make things up, which is accurate. If you go Google something, not everything you see is correct, right? So you need to still make sure and double check and not just take it like, oh, perfect, done, So, but I want to know though, so as I'm going to get into the 10 different ways that we thought of how you can use it, but also share in the chat or in the Q&A panel. We want to know, what ideas do you have for utilizing ChatGPT in your business? And if we don't go over some of them, we might bring them up and actually try them in real time just to see what some of those things would be. So feel those, throw those out as you're thinking about it as well. But now I want to get into the best part of this, is how you can actually start using this. So these are all ideas here. So, okay, there's going to be 10 of them. Now, the first one I'm going to start off with is our personal favorites, itineraries. So itinerary ideas and creations. I mean, it's huge. This is what we hear typically. Most travel agents are using this for. Lots of ideas here. So you could use this for restaurant recommendations, entertainment, shows, content descriptions, whatever it might be. And then this is the thing that I was going to tell you. We don't usually bring Travify into Academy, but I couldn't resist. So I wanted to show you an actual example of like how you would do this, how you would ask a question and put that into an actual Travify itinerary. So I'm gonna change my screen here really quick. So I'm going to go into ChatGPT, and someone did ask which one I'm using is the new one, but I'm going to go ahead and just use the free one here. So that way you can see, so I can switch back and forth there, or I'll go down to the other one, but I'm going to do, this is the question that I'm asking. I am saying, I am a travel agent and creating an itinerary for my client. They will be in Florence. What are some good dining options? And I put near a specific location I know they're going to be. So if you just need, like, again, this is a very good thought starter where you're just trying to say, like, they asked me to look something up and I have good ideas, but they're going to be running really close on time. So we need something that's really close to their hotel. So look at this. I mean, look, I already have these options. Now, again, as a lot of you have been mentioning, you do need to do a little just investigating, make sure, or if you already know, you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about that place. That's still there. That's a great option. You can take those, but let's just say we want this one right here. So I'm just going to copy that and I'm going to go into Travify. Now, I mentioned in that slide about how a good idea is to save this stuff to your library. So if you're unfamiliar with how Travify it works in the itinerary builder, you can create items for anything. We also have a lot of content already available, but you can just custom create something like I'm going to do, save it to your library, and then that way you don't have to reuse it over and over again. So it's actually a really good way to start building up your library too. But all you could do, like if this was a dinner, just say new event. I'm just going to choose activity. We'll say food and drink. I'm just going to copy and paste this in. So I'm just going to say, oops, I'm just going to copy this. And we could say like dinner reservation. And then we'll just say the play. Oh, okay. Well, it's not going to want, but you get what I'm doing here. And then you can go add some photos, if you want, and that's it. And then it's just really quick to just bring it over, really fast, just copy and paste it over. And if you're like, you know what, this is great, but I want a little more, you can come back in here and be like, all right, I'm choosing this one. What are some more things that I can add to this, or a description, whatever it might be. So that's how you can use that with itineraries.
And so some really interesting conversation comments coming in here that I want to touch on, because it reinforces these are tools and you need to test them out and use them to understand what works for you. And so Sean gave a great point of, with this version of ChatGPT, it's up to 2021. So it actually doesn't know, with restaurant recommendations specifically, what places have reopened post-COVID. Because in 2021, we were still in the thick of it, as you all recall. And Robin even listed a similar point with, like, she's done some testing around searching for hotel recommendations, and it was not great. The results were not good. But then here on the flip side, and this is what I love, is because we're getting different perspectives on this. Susanna said she lives in Florence and looked at your list and said, those restaurant recommendations were pretty darn good. They're spot on. And so that's where I just want to reinforce, there's no right or wrong with this. This is a tool. It would be the same as if you went out and started searching and looking for different things. How do you know you can trust those websites? How do you know you can trust those sources? There are different qualities of sources along the way. This is yet another tool that you have to know how you can use, but you still have to do your diligence as the travel professional in there. So it's really fun to see what things work, what things don't in there.
It's really cool. Someone else just said, I've lived and worked there for 33 years, and that is pretty good. That's awesome. One thing that I did forget to say, because I saw somebody ask this question, is how you save this to your library. There's two different ways that I would recommend. So one, if you're putting it directly in the itinerary, like I just did, you can just come in and just go and like you're editing it. And then you can just click to save to, you can choose to save to library from your itinerary. But if you're choosing to build up your library using this tool, what you could do is you can just go into your main account here and then click library and then click new library item and then just start adding things. Just add them right in there. So that's a great option too as well, which is really cool. But love that. That's so cool to hear too. It's amazing tool, but still, you know, not everything is just straight perfect, but it really can help. And here's another one. I love this next suggestion as well. So another really cool idea is using this for email marketing. Email marketing is, I mean, any webinar or any content we've had on email marketing, it's always like, oh, it's not the easiest thing. It takes time. But what if we can help save that time with using this tool? So a great way to use ChatGPT for email marketing is to help you come up with things like subject lines, content copy. I saw a couple of people mention that it's a really good, and when you have writer's block, it really helps to start formulating your thoughts and start the content, the copy, which is so true. I do it all. That's usually how I'm using it. And another good thing is you can use it for just content ideas, or again, those opening paragraphs. A good example I would mention with the opening paragraphs, by the way, is something that I've noticed ChatGPT tends to do is get very wordy. So I've learned over time to just kind of mention, say like, oh, shorten that to 2 sentences or only 2 to 3 sentences max. You'll start to learn that too, like on what you're actually looking for. But it's a good problem to have. But I have noticed that, and Scott mentioned that it can get pretty wordy sometimes. So that's just where you might want to ask it like, hey, can you shorten it up a little bit? Or, you know, you start putting together your own. But here's an example that I put. So I said, I'm writing an email marketing newsletter for my clients who have traveled in the last 2 years with me. So what are some content ideas to create to engage with them? So I'm thinking of like this little campaign, like, okay, I want to reach out to the people who have traveled with me in the past couple years. Look at this. So it gave me different ideas. I have travel recaps, you know, travel journal, recommendations, tips and tricks, you know, behind the scenes. I mean, there's so much. And the thing about this too, that you'll quickly realize when you start using this, is you also can say, if you don't like any of this, which that's happened a lot to me, where I'm like, ooh, all of those are not great. I'll be like, can you try that again and then do it this way or something, or and like the tone, like someone just mentioned, mention your tone in it as well. Like if you're trying to be luxury and be very sophisticated, some of these won't really work for you. So it's good to just tell it that, and you can rephrase it as well, which is great. But love that option. Now, this is another one you're probably like, oh yeah, this is going to be a popular one, is social media. So similar to email marketing, it's a really good thought starter and with content. Now, there's so much, and I'm going to show you a bigger version of this. I'll blow this up here. But one thing that's really cool is you can ask it for not only content ideas, like what should I be posting this week? This is what I want to focus on. What should I post? But it also can give you trend, like good hashtag ideas. But this is the thing that blows my mind, is it can literally create an entire content calendar for you. Because watch this. So I asked it, can you create a social media content calendar for me to use? And I specified, I want it for Facebook. Please include, what should my graphics be? What is the text going to be? What are hashtags? I want to post 4 times a week, and I want to focus it on selling travel. And then I gave it some ideas too, because I wanted it to like know what I'm going for here is talking about my services, some client reviews, you know, and highlighting destinations. Look at what it gave me. Of course I had to cut it off because it really gave me a lot of stuff. And so, I mean, it literally broke it down. Week 1, do Monday. And then here's what you need to do. You know, here's your graphic. And then here's the text. It's like, oh my gosh, that's so easy. It's amazing. And again, you can pick and choose. You know, it's great. And you can keep asking it for more options, which is really cool. So yeah, love that there. Someone also mentioned, this is a good point. We were talking about tone and mentioning, say, hey, can you put it in this tone? And I always forget you can ask about it in certain author styles. So one of them, I heard someone one time said, I want it to sound like it's Richard Branson, like coming from that. That's so cool. I'm like, that's awesome. So you can really get down to the details on what you're asking it. Oh, you have something,
So
Scott?
no, just my silly, stupid sense of humor just makes my mind go lots of different directions. Like, can you make this sound like Dr. Seuss? And
yes,
have
that's
it
a
write
good one.
poetry along with that. So
We actually have shout out Sam on our team who is one of our QA engineers, and he always like whenever like sometimes when we're releasing things, he'll like have a poem get written about it from ChatGPT. Like it's literally anything. It's so
and
awesome.
it's funny because it will look at some of the information that we've put in, but also like our support articles and like give you a
Yeah.
poem of how to use this feature.
Yeah. So if you ever see a social post coming up anytime soon where it's like a really fun, like that was probably ChatGPT, you know, like, but we did the work to think of the question. That's, you know, that's the thing. But so another tip here. So the fourth way is custom emails to clients. So this actually, it's easy to think about ChatGPT in the sense of like marketing and content and coming up with ideas, but this is actually really big one is custom emails to clients. So this could be really great for those hard conversations. You know, if you're like, gosh, how do I write in an email that's friendly but assertive? And you know, and you're like, I don't know, how do I do that? And then you can just ask ChatGPT and say like, here's the problem, here's what I'm trying to say, but can you make this, you know, in that form, help me formulate the way I should say it. I think that's really cool. I've heard of travel advisors using it for that, and I think that's a really good idea. Another one is again, like for ideas, if you have writer's block, just to kind of jump off. But one example, I feel like this is a good example, is I am a travel agent and a client doesn't understand why I'm charging them a fee to work with me. Anybody else? Have you had this? I'm sure I've heard of this many times happening. So can you draft a simple email explaining that I'm only earning commission on what they purchase, so I need to charge a fee to reflect the services I sell? So yes, thank you. Priscilla said it's a great prompt. I was really proud about this one. So here's what it said. I thought this was good and you don't have to use all this. I think you could take little pieces, but it says, like, I'll let you check this out. And again, you'll get the slides as well for this. But it says like, oh, you know, I'm in the travel industry. This is how it works. The service fee I charge is not about the final booking, you know, all this stuff in it. It gives you really good sentences. Again, you might not choose to use all of this, but you still might choose to use a lot of these sentences and the way it writes it. And then again, you can make it say like, hey, can you put it in this tone? You know, and yeah, so it's really, really awesome.
Sorry,
It's so funny. Yes.
I love the comments. Dolores, you get probably the award for best suggestion in here, the best prompt. I want to say no in a nice way, but a firm way in the style of Gordon Ramsay. If you've ever watched one of Gordon Ramsay's show, you know exactly. Now, normally Gordon Ramsay comes in with some colorful British
That's what I
language
was
along
thinking.
with
Yeah.
it, but the professional Gordon Ramsay
The professional one, of course. I know I've never seen ChatGPT have a like a bad word in it, so I wonder if it would like there's
Turn on the
a
Gordon Ramsay filter.
yeah,
So,
turn on that filter. It will, it'll give you some colorful language there. Jonelle said they literally had ChatGPT draft a letter to their client who was chronically or like late on their installment payments. It was firm but understanding. See, it helps
mhm.
you draft those hard to do ones. And yeah, it's like
Yeah, if
helpful.
you're so I can see where this would be helpful if you're not used to writing that kind of communication, or if you are the type of person that, and this is okay, everyone's different. If you don't love conflict, you're kind of conflict
Yeah.
averse, and you don't know how to lay down some firm language, but yet is professional, and to Janelle's point, understanding, that you're not trying to lose the client. You want to just lay out some ground rules. Like, this is a great tool to help kind of put out an outline and draft of that communication.
Oh yeah, 100%. Because I'm sure like many of you, I feel like I would sit on it for hours being like, what, how do I do this? Like, how do I approach this? And now you can do it in a couple seconds and it just helps you. So it's huge, really big one there. But yeah, so one of my favorite tips in that one. But another one though is kind of going back on the fun, content creating is packing lists and tips. I mean, this is another thing that you could create because what you can do is you could use these as lead magnets. We've talked about this on other webinars where a really good lead magnet, which is basically like a freebie for somebody to come and download, and then you get their email address in return. This is one of them. I mean, you could literally just ask ChatGPT to make a packing list, put that in like Canva or something, or in a Google Doc, Word, and then make that a PDF that's downloadable. I mean, that literally would take like less than 15 minutes. I mean, really incredible. Here's my example that I gave. It is I actually thought of this too as like a more personal way of not necessarily just an over broad like content, but also like my clients are traveling to Italy at the beginning of September. They will be visiting here and here. What should they pack for 1 week? Here's some activities they're doing, because I want to give this to my clients as just an add-on, like, hey, here's what you should consider packing. And here's what it gave me. I mean, it gave me so much. It gave me, all right, here's the clothing, here's the other thing, even the stuff like essentials, like passport. Like, I didn't even think about that. Like, I just assumed that's just like, oh yeah. But if you're going to give them a list, you might as well throw, things like that, or, like a wine tour, maybe bring this stuff, or, some reusable water bottle, all these things that I would totally not really think of. So it's just really cool. It's a really great, way to just get and add those personal touches like this.
Mhm. I can definitely see where this would not just be helpful for like packing lists and things like that, but like cultural expectations in certain
Hmm.
destinations of those things. I was reading an article just this past week about just the difference of Americans going to Europe and
Yes.
how we approach things very differently. Thank you for your grace for anyone that lives in Europe and entertains the silly Americans that come in. So I can see so many different uses for that.
Oh yeah. Well, and one I can't remember if it's on this screenshot, but one it even mentioned was like if you're going, to some churches or like Vatican City, you have to have you have to be covered in certain ways. And so it's just things like that too that, it's really just nice things that I mean, if you specialize in it, you probably totally remember, but it's just great to just generate some ideas really quickly. Now, another one. Let's talk about blogging. So, travel blogging content ideas. I feel like I've met a lot of travel advisors who love blogging and some who really they want to love it, but it's like it just takes so much time. Enter ChatGPT, because I think this can really help with this with many different ideas. Obviously, generating blog article ideas and topics, which I have a really good example of one that I'll show you. But another one, which we've been talking about this whole time, is getting like starting off points. We all get those writer blocks, and so how this is a great way to just start you off. And the other thing, though, that's really big is SEO. So when it comes to SEO, like search engine optimization, when you're creating blog posts, you want to have good SEO. You want to get found, on Google, and someone comes to your site because of your blog. And so you could ask it and say, like, hey, what are some good SEO words? This is what I do. This is what I sell. I'm trying to get this type of audience. Like, what are the good SEO words, keywords that I need to be implementing? So it can act as that too, and get specific. So my example here is really specific. Oh, and I apologize. This is a little blurry, but I said, I specialize in wine tours to Italy. Can you give me 5 blogging article topics I can write? And look at this. This is so cool. So there's all these, and again, you could ask it for more if these aren't hitting the spot. You're like, how about some more ideas? But it's so cool. I mean, a journey through Italy's wine region. So I could create a thing and be like, okay, I'm just gonna do like 4 different regions, and and just highlight some stuff, and then maybe I ask it again, like, hey, can you put a description about Chianti or something, and again, just keep asking it the questions and all that. So it's really, really cool. Okay, so, and as you can see where my head's at. Italy, wine, it's a great articles here. Now
Would you like
this
a
one,
glass of
yeah,
wine?
love one. It's almost 12. I feel like it's coming. It's almost noon for us now. But this is another one. This is another one that I love because it's more business related, of upselling ideas for your clients. Okay, so you have to let me know if this one sits right, or if Scott, if you get some more ideas, because Scott's our sales guy, sales bro from the
I
team.
was trying to
So
figure out how to chase a nickel.
yes, exactly. Perfect. Exactly. Yes. Well, Scott, you can use ChatGPT in the booking process. So okay, so this was the idea that I had in this. So hear me out on this. What if you did, based on, okay, client choices, you can ask ChatGPT to suggest more options that maybe you might have missed, because this is really good. If you're specializing in a destination, you probably don't, you might not necessarily need it, but a lot of these places, if someone's like, a new destination that you're not as familiar with, this is a great way to get more, and also create descriptions as well that really will help it sell. So an example here, and again, you can see where my head's at. My clients are traveling to Italy and staying in Tuscany. They love wine and food, and I already have a private food and wine tour planned for them. But is there anything else I can try to offer that I haven't thought of? Look at this. Oh my God. Look at all these ideas. There's so many. Amazing.
Tons of ideas. No, it's really cool.
Like,
And I would like to say that I am the chief upsell officer at Travify in the context of coaching travel advisors, that I'm a firm believer in. There are so many opportunities for upsells for you. And if you're not making an art of offering those, you're just leaving business and sales on the table, because I always say you can't sell what you never offered to
yeah.
begin with. So this is really, really cool, especially thinking about if you are a travel advisor that's younger or early to the industry, and you haven't quite figured out, how do I offer these things, because I feel weird trying to sell more stuff. And this is a great way to kind of broach that subject, bring it up, and have some great ways to message that, communication points, talking points, and how to actually communicate that via email, itineraries, proposals, et cetera, and work it into your sales process, because you do want upsells to be a part of your process. So any tool like this that makes it easier and less time consuming and just builds it into your process is a winning tool and a winning process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's again, it's so cool. And when Claudia just mentioned, I actually offer almost all of this on a Italy tour, except for she's like, I need to add opera and concert. See, there's so many things that you just like, it might come up with something. And then once you do write it in, you can say, okay, how should I describe this? Or, like, give me a quick blurb, and then put it into Travify, and you're good. You're upselling. And just like Scott said, you can't sell what they can't see, or what you're not sharing. So that's why I love this. It's just an awesome, awesome idea there. Now, the 8th idea that I have is customer service. So we kind of got into this a little bit with talking about those email, or those, like, the email writing, or how to conversate. But I think this is also, we talked about it in the frame of mind of where, it might be like those harder ones, or you're like trying to say things in a certain tone, but it's also really good for just really quick responses to simple inquiries, or again, those hard to answer questions as well. But I think this is really cool because, again, especially like newer to the industry, or if you are, there's a destination someone's interested in and you're just not as familiar, you might need things like, they might say like, hey, is it a good time to visit that place, at this time? Which I think that's an example. Yeah. So Well, I did an example a little different where I said, like, when is the best time to travel to London? When it's good weather, but not as touristy. Someone might come and ask me that. And I'm like, let me look. And so and then it really quick just laid out, here's what the weather would be like at this time, here. And then it also, I didn't even ask for this, but it gave me additional notes to consider, like, oh, there's festival and events going on at this time, so if your client might like that, there you go. Or the pricing might be different, or daylight, the length of days. I mean, wow. I mean, especially, again, I think it's really great. Again, newer, or just, again, these destinations that you might not be as familiar with, but it's just a great way for, again, those really quick questions. It doesn't have to be anything, super intense and lengthy, just quick questions in there. Okay, so my ninth one here. So coming to the end here, but the ninth one, this one's kind of a little unique here, is sales training and role plays. So I'm not gonna lie, ChatGPT gave me this idea. I was like, that's a good idea. It's basically, if you have a team, or again, if you just are like, I'm just curious, I want to play a little game with it and see if I can respond back. But it's a really good actual training for advisors. So it can be, again, great for teams, but simulate like customer interactions, and then also just teaching, how to respond to handling different situations. So this is the example. And sorry, if someone said talking, I'm getting so excited.
She's really excited.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. And I also see the time. I'm like, but this is an example. So I'm sure, if you're running a team, you'd have way better examples than I have. But I thought of one is, would you like, or I would like to help get trained on how to respond. I'm a travel advisor. Can you role play? Like, what if someone's asking for a vacation, but they're not sure where to go yet? Like, what types of questions would they ask? Or you could say, like, what types of questions should I ask? Because I'm sure you get a lot of that where you're like, we need to get this figured out. Otherwise, this could take too long. So they can start asking. You can just chat back. It's like chatting with the person on the other end, except for you can say whatever you want because it's just a robot. So there's no embarrassing responses you can have, which is great, but
yeah,
it's awesome.
I could see how this, if you are growing a team or trying to take a younger travel advisor under your wing and kind of mentor them, this would be incredibly helpful to get them comfortable with talking about delicate topics like cancellation policies, refunds, payment schedules, things like that, so that they get more in the habit and feeling really comfortable in communicating these things, where you can be very professional but firm, lay out clear lines, boundaries, and things like that you only get from going through the process a few times.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Okay, so I have a couple more, but I want to mention, if there's anything that you haven't seen yet that you've thought like, oh, I wonder I want to use it for this, or if you're getting ideas, put them in the chat, because we want to see what you're thinking in there. But I have my 10th one here. So okay, here we go. So enhances to your client's itinerary. So we already talked a little bit about this, but there's just so many different directions you can go with the itinerary. So we were talking earlier just about, how you can put like actual just quick ideas or suggestions. But there's also, which this did get brought up already, is adding things like cultural facts. Someone mentioned tipping. That's a good one. Like, how does tipping work in that culture, that country? All those ideas in there.
Definitely.
Yeah. So really cool ways there, but I'm not done yet, actually, because I've got a bonus. So I wanted to pluck this out as its own. So I did say at the bottom here, because Scott had mentioned that, so you've heard, Scott, agents will use this to put together proposals and quotes really quickly, which I think is awesome, because you want it to look amazing. You want it to really sell it. But obviously you're like, oh gosh, if they're not going to do it, I might take a lot of time, not just putting this together. So this is a really good tool for creating quotes and proposals very quickly. And again, I want to mention, this isn't replacing your expertise, but it's really just a quick and simple way to generate something fast. So I'm going to do an example here. So I'm going to go back in here, and I am going to say I am a travel advisor, and oops. There we go. I'm a travel advisor and and my clients they want to travel to Italy in June, 12 days. Well, there, it's going so fast. Here's where they definitely want to hit. Can you give me a sample itinerary for them? So you can see it's quickly putting out this itinerary, which I can then go put it into Travify really quickly. Just copy and paste things in, maybe add some photos, add a city guide, tons of stuff. Now, again, it's really important. You just want to take a quick look and be like, is this going to make sense? Like, is this the way they should be going? Because if you're like, they really should be flipping this around, then you can just say, okay, we're just going to say this is not day 4, this is day 1 or something. But it's a really quick way, to get that information and just, all that. But then the other thing I was thinking when I was going through this is I was like, oh my gosh, you could totally put this together for a client, but then it's so high level and basic that you could also use that, to use as marketing. You could convert it, you can save it as a template to use for the future, but you can also use it as a marketing tool, put it in a blog, share it on social media. Because again, you can do that in Travify. You can take that link and you can share it anywhere. You can copy it. So there's just so much you can do in there, which is just really, really incredible.
Yeah, I chat with so many travel advisors that get lots of new potential leads or customers, and they can't quite tell, are the customers tire kickers? How serious are they? They don't want to wrap up tons of time. Now, regardless of your front end qualification or professional fee process, I'm not speaking to that. This is a great tool where if you need to be very responsive and get them ideas or respond to them in a few different ways of, we're thinking about these 2 or 3 destinations. This is a great way to save time getting them something professional and giving them some ideas, but also showing your level of service without investing hours into that research process. So also think about how this can be used at certain stages of the sales process.
That's a good point too. And I'm actually sharing, I want to share this. I just threw it in there. So there's a PDF coming your way right now in chat. And that is going to be this whole presentation. So I don't want to forget to do that in there. But Scott, what are some of the things that you're seeing in the chat?
Tons of ideas in here, and we even had so Carol, shout out to you. You asked, hey, can we share a transcript of the questions or the comments? Because there's lots of really interesting, really great ideas from one travel advisor to another of great tips, great ideas in there. Now, we would love to share the transcript. The one thing that we've learned is sometimes people share stuff in the chat that they don't necessarily want broadcasted out there. Maybe it's a special idea and they're just sharing it with us, but they don't want it broadcasted out on the internet. So to be respectful of everyone, we won't share everything in the chat via transcript. What I would invite you guys to do, and Stephanie, maybe you can pull this up while walking through it, but pull up our Facebook group and pull up the Facebook post for the webinar today. And
yeah, so
and for this, what I would love to do is if you've shared kind of an interesting idea or tip for how to use AI in your business, or if you've got an idea and a takeaway of how you want to incorporate AI into your travel business, go to our Facebook group, go to this page and to this post. And I actually started a comment thread in there, and just leave a comment. Quickly leave a comment on a pro tip that you shared today that you would love to share with other travel advisors, or share a takeaway or something that you want to try incorporating into your travel business.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I just put the link in the Facebook group as well in there. So it's really cool. I do want to mention one thing. So I just saw a comment come in. Someone mentioned, I love how this could like save time, but I'm old and I hate learning new things. But here's the thing. There is a learning, I guess, but I would really just get in there and try it, because it's not really so much that you have to learn, because you're just asking it questions. Like it's literally, it's very similar to like if you Google for something or if you're going to Bing for something. But you just are asking it like, hey, I need, that's okay, but I need you to do it this way, or I need it in this, and you'll just start to, but that's the thing. That's why I like ChatGPT and and other AI tools, is because there's really no scientific thing to it. I mean, you do have to start to learn, to ask it and think of things. I mean, I use it for a lot of things, like even recipes. Like I'll say, I have this and this. What can I make? Anything. I mean, it's super cool, which is awesome.
Definitely.
Okay.
So another question around, Susanna asked this, and a few people have asked this, what is the difference in features and price between different AI providers? And a really important thing in that is we're not experts on each provider. One thing that I do very frequently, I literally go to YouTube and I just type in, ChatGPT versus Bard or something else. And you can get tons of videos that are really helpful in walking through what are the big differences between it, the algorithms, the data that's been processed through it, the different features, the price points, things like that. So you can definitely get a lot more info just by doing a little bit of searching on your end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like a couple people asked, I saw like someone just asked, what is one for images? If you just Google AI for images, I would look because I've used a couple, but some of those ones are more paid ones. Some of the image ones, just because it's doing a little bit different work. But there's like you'll see some links like the best AI image generators in 2023 or AI picture generator. But then the other thing I was going to note is with ChatGPT, the free version versus the plus, which is the paid, which is $20 USD a month. So it basically, because I don't know, I've been using the free this whole time until literally a couple days ago. But I think it's very similar. I will say I get a little more response and it's just quicker when I use the plus version. And it's a little bit lengthier. But the thing about it though is the free version, if it's not giving you a lot, you can just keep asking it. So it's hard to know. I think it would be just worth just exploring and seeing what you like. And let us know too in our Facebook group. Tell us what you're using and because I'm honestly curious too for my own personal self. It's really cool stuff and it's so new and going to be changing so much over the next couple years. So let us know what you're using. Is there another thing, Scott? Because I'm just looking at chat here.
I was just following the comments on the Facebook group. So if you shared a really cool pro tip in the chat today, please head over to our Facebook group and share it, because several of you shared some really fantastic AI pro tips that you guys already use. And I'd love for some of the Facebook group to hear about some of those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I'm really excited to go over there after this and look at this and look at that. One that I wanted to mention is someone had mentioned if you keep asking the questions on the original chat topic like this, so I'm in this thread, it can make it feel everything kept together. And that's good pro tip, because see on the right hand or left hand side how I have like this is my other stuff that I was asking. So you can change this title. And so like I have recipes, for example. So you can come over here and you can keep it in a thread, because it will start to understand what you're really going for all the time. So then that way you can keep the conversation going when you need to come back to it. Like if it's social media or something and you're saying, I'm a travel advisor, like this is what I'm looking for. These are the hashtags I need. And then maybe you keep that thread and you can keep it organized. So that's a really good pro tip there as well. But otherwise, this is awesome. I can't believe it's like this hour went really, really fast.
Really fast.
So yeah. But is there anything else that I'm missing or anything else that you want to note, Scott?
No, we've jumped around. We've covered a lot of different interesting areas, tons of really great questions and comments coming in. Again, head over to the Facebook group. We'll throw the link in the chat so that all of you can get to that. But head over to the Facebook group. And again, throw in one tip that you would share with other travel advisors of how you use AI currently in your travel business. That you think is really clever. Saw tons of them come in today. But then also share a takeaway or something that you want to try out of how to use AI in that. And then also many questions. Is this being recorded? Yes, we got your back. It'll be on YouTube, our YouTube channel later today, as fast as Stephanie's fingers can work.
Yes, I'll be going so fast. And I also will say too, is I have here, I'm gonna put this on the chat for everyone. If you just have to give me just like in the next hour, I'll get this all up. But academy.travify.com. If you go here, so it's not upcoming anymore. So I'll have the recording on here, but I'll also put the PDF on here for the slides, so you can download that as well. Because yeah, someone mentioned the file's taking a long time to download. Don't worry. I'm also going to be putting it in the email. So you'll get a follow-up email. And I'll put the link in there as well. So you'll for sure get that. But otherwise, thank you, everyone. This was fun. I
This
love
was
this. This is
very
a great
fun.
topic.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Stephanie, for pulling it together. And thanks everyone for joining us. It's always a party and always fun.
it is always a great time. And thank you so much again, everyone. And I'm going to go head over to that Facebook group and see what's going on. I'm excited.
We'll see you
You
there.
guys. See ya.